The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and so thrilled and really feel very deeply privileged to be able to be here with you today to talk about this topic. I really thought very hard about what message did I want to bring today, and I wanted to bring a message of resources, that there are resources available for parents. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm pulling out my 10 best things for each topic that there is about things that when I'm talking to a parent and I ask them, like, where are you right now? What do you need? What are you doing? Here are my 10 best resources. And then I want to give, and I hope I have the email for it, one other one that has now just come on the horizon. But first of all, welcome. You have arrived here at Autism Live on the Autism Network. Here at this network, our goal always is to provide information and inspiration. And we're going to stick to that until they haul me out of here. That's just how that's going to go. And by the way, we use our resources to speak to the autism community. And that, for me, starts with individuals who are on the autism spectrum themselves, regardless of what words they use to describe themselves. And I want to be clear that we embrace whatever words you and they want to use. So we have some people who refer to themselves as autistic, and others who say I have autism, and others who say I'm neurodivergent, and some who say I'm neurodiverse. Whatever works for them and for you, as the case may be, is what we embrace. And not only do we start with talking about that area of the community because they are the beating heart of our community, individuals who are themselves somewhere on that autism spectrum. But we don't stop there. We include everyone who loves them. And by doing that, we think this is a big, very diverse universe of people, and we want to help service that community because we believe that if we stand arm in arm, even though we may disagree on all kinds of things, if we stand arm in arm on the rights for individuals who are on the spectrum, we're going to get further than if we all segment, right? So that's where we want to start. So I identify as a proud pony. Pony stands for Parent of Neurodiverse Individual. Those are the words that my son has given me to use. I stand by those words because they are in support of him. So that is how I identify. Now, who knows in 5 years, because 5 years ago I identified as something else. So I don't, I'm living and breathing and growing along with everybody else. But what do you identify as? You can write in right now and talk to me because we're live right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, or whatever that thing is called now. I don't know what that's called now. I don't care. And we're live in about a dozen other places too. Our fabulous Chris Desmond is showing you right now on the screen. And we also are available as a podcast. We know that some of you watch us live and you like to get your information live, and we love interacting with you. You can be interacting with us right now. You can talk to me and I can talk back to you. But most of you, we know, are out someplace doing something right now at this time of day, and so you're catching us in podcast, which is wonderful. We love our podcast listeners and want to remind you, you're seeing on the screen, we're available wherever you get your podcasts as a free download. And we hope to always remain free. We've been doing this for over 14 years. That is just crazy to me. But we've been doing this for a hot minute, let's say that. And we want to keep doing it, and it's really one of our values to be free to you. That doesn't mean it's free, because obviously there is no free lunch, right? We know somebody's paying for that. And what we love is we've passed on the cost of that to our sponsors. So when you listen in podcasts, you will get regular sponsors who will pop up, and I hope that you will embrace them and go, woohoo, they paid for me to listen to this. They paid for this free download. However, if you're doing something that's very exacting and you need the podcast and you find the ads disruptive because you're running on the treadmill and you don't want to have to change because sometimes the volume can be wonkinator, right? There is a way that you can do that. We ask that you visit, I drew a complete blank. Thank you, Chris. glow.fm/autism live. It is a $5 a month subscription fee to do that. But hey, for that $5, you help to support us in keeping the lights on, and you get everything that the Autism Network does free of ads. It goes right directly into your inbox. That includes Ask Dr. Doreen, Autism Live, and all of the sister programs that we do on top of that. So anytime we put out a new video, it shows up in your inbox with no ads, and you can download it whenever you choose, work out, do all the things you need to do. So I hope that, I know it's $5 and we try very hard to not charge anybody anything, but that's sort of the way we can equalize that for those of you who want that. $5 a month, not so much. All right. But also, want to let you know, even if you're listening to us in podcast, you can write to us at any point. If you, let's say you're on the treadmill and you're right now and you're like, I want to write to her. I'll try to remember to say my email address, but it's fairly easy to remember if you know my name, Shannon, SHANNON, at autism-live.com. The only part I think that's hard to remember is the hyphen situation. But that's what it is. It's been that way for 14 years. We're making it work. Shannon at autism-live.com. You can write directly to me. And I try to get back to you with all speed. Now, I'm going to give you guys the insider information. I'm on jury duty all this week. Today's a national holiday, so they couldn't call me today. But I'm called tomorrow. So it's very possible and likely that this is the only live show that we'll get to do this week. And I apologize that we don't get the opportunity to bring Dr. Grampuchet to you tomorrow. But I've been called to serve my country, and I'm going to begrudgingly go, and we'll see what happens. I'm just hoping and praying I don't get on a long jury because I'll miss you. But hopefully you'll see me back here on Monday, and we've got today. Let's celebrate today, shall we? So today's topic is parent-to-parent top 10 resources. I really was thinking today, I try to be mindful always, every day, about who can I help today, how can I help them, and for 14 years, my motto every morning has been, how can I save somebody 5 minutes and $5? And also, I love to make sure that people don't feel like they're in it alone. And part of that information and inspiration that we talk about is that even if none of these top 10 resources are what you need today, I hope that it will help you to remember that there are resources. There are resources for you. So we're going to do what we always do, which is we're going to run down the top 10 really quickly. So you're going to get to see what they are, take a picture of the slide if you want to, because it has information on most of them about how and where to contact them. Then I'm going to go back to the beginning and talk very specifically. And I'm already, as we're doing this, I'm already thinking of like 3 resources that I didn't put in the top, and I actually did 11. So there we go. I'll try to remember them for the end to tag them in. I can't. It's like hard getting it down to 10 or even 11. So let's go through it really quickly for those of you who are on the run. Number 1, if you guys ask me about social skills, the first best thing I'm going to tell you about is UCLA Peers Clinic. And the phone number is on there. The website is on there. And I believe that they are doing online programs on a regular basis for all age groups now, so that you could sign up and do it even if you are not living in the U.S., I think, but reach out to them. It's amazing. I'll tell you more later. Number 2, for IEP support and questions, this has been my go-to lately, is sending people to the Center for Parent Information and Resources. We call it the Hub. And they have been doing some great stuff, and it's free. So we love that. Number 3, Pinterest. If you're looking for any kind of lessons or OT lessons or speech lessons or activities, get yourself to Pinterest because it's amazing. Number 4, Taka. If you're looking for, especially for biomedical information, but also for fellowship for parents, Go to TACA, the Autism Community in Action. Their website is there. I'll talk more about them in a minute. Number 5, if you need legal support, if you've gotten to the point where you need a lawyer, and I think pretty much for anything, but most of us, what we need lawyers for, it's for IEP stuff, but sometimes you need it for family stuff. I want to encourage you to go to COPA because they are the Council of Parent Attorneys and Advocates. They've been there, they've done that. They're a great resource. Number 6, if you got medical issues and you want to know more about yourself or someone you love on the spectrum and their medical issues, I encourage you to go to MedMaps. They are the Medical Academy of Pediatrics and Special Needs. There you go. Check out them. Number 7, if you want to know about research that's being done, I really encourage you to go to Autism Research Institute. It's very easy to remember. They got the first website, autism.org, and you'll find all kinds of stuff there. Number 8, if you want more information about diet and nutrition, I will tell you, some of this information will be available to you on TACA, but my single best resource for this is Nourishing Hope with Julie Matthews, and so you can go to nourishinghope.com. Number 9, if your child is older and you're in the teen years, you really want to Google in your state and go to the Department of Rehabilitation. That's where you're going to get help and support. And I really didn't know this and didn't think I needed this. Listen, we all need this. Department of Rehabilitation. It's usually the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, but, get your teen or young adult signed up there. Number 10, 211 for state resources. If you're looking for what are the Medicaid waivers in your state, my best advice is to call 211. I got some asterisks for you for that, but call that but don't, whatever you do, tell the truth and don't blow things out of proportion. These are court-mandated first responders, so if they feel that anybody's in danger, they're going to send the police to your house. But otherwise, speak with them. They're absolutely amazing. Just don't exaggerate at all. And number 11, the bonus one, because it's near and dear to my heart. Did I not put it on there, Chris? Oh, I didn't put it on there? I seriously didn't? I didn't save it with it? Well, number 11 was the Autism Network. That if you are looking for anything else, we genuinely cover it here and generally cover it here. And if we haven't, write to us and tell us and we'll cover that. So that's number 11. But the one I didn't put on there that I should have put on there was EBSA. For those of you who have any kind of an employer plan for your insurance, we really want you to know if you're having any kind of difficulties with your insurance at all, whether it's autism related or not autism related, if you have an employer funded plan and that you're getting through your employer, you're paying into it, they're paying into it, you're getting through your employer. If you're having problems, oh, there it is. There it is. I don't know where I put it. Did I put it 7 slides later? There was the everything. Autism Live, Autism Network, Ask Dr. Doreen. We'll cover everything for you. But EBSA, it is the Employee Benefits Security Administration. It's federally funded. You can Google them, EBSA, E-B-S-A, and you can call them. They have a toll-free number, and they will figure out your insurance issue and get back to you so that you know how your insurance works. And if it's working illegally, they'll force them to fix it. Not just for you, but for everyone. I kind of want Christmas music to play. These are good resources, you guys. So let's go back to the beginning and let's start by talking about Peers. So Peers was started by Dr. Liz Lageson, and she's amazing. And they have this amazing program. It's called Peers, but that's the program for the education and enrichment of relational skills. It's all about the social skills, and it takes place on the UCLA campus. But most of what they do, because of the pandemic, they got very good at doing it online, which I love, because I'll be honest with you, when my son was a teenager, I would have loved to have done the Peers program, but I lived so far away that to drive down at the time of day that they were having it, I would have had to leave 3 hours early, and I just couldn't prioritize it. Let's be honest, I probably could have done it, but I just couldn't prioritize it. Well, if you live in Maryland, you for sure weren't going to be able to drive and do it. So during the pandemic, they got very good at doing it online, and I believe that they're doing it at all different age groups, even for younger kids as well. So I encourage you to go to their website, or you can email them and find out more information. I cannot tell you whether your insurance will cover it or not. Those are questions you'll have to ask them. But here's what's great about this program is that the parents and the kiddos are taking the class at the same time separately, because the kiddos are in one group together with other kiddos, and they're being taught lessons and being given assignments about those lessons. But the parents are on a different track, learning how to support that lesson, what to do this week to help ensure that that lesson is working, and what to ask your child to know what they are actually learning from it. So it supercharges and empowers the parents, and it gives the kiddos real intensive life lessons about social skills. I want to tell you that at one point, Dr. Lageson came to CARD and trained a whole bunch of CARD employees so that we could be doing the peers program at CARD. That was many, many years ago, and I do not believe that CARD is still doing the peers program, but many people got trained in it, right? And I got an opportunity to sit in on some of the training, and Dr. Lageson said something just in the training for the people who were learning how to do it that changed my son's entire trajectory. She is the one who said, what we wear on our bodies are billboards, and that we need to be thinking of that mindfully with our kiddos on the spectrum, that if I want to attract like-minded friends, then I have to have the appropriate thing on my t-shirt. And my son that was the summer before he was starting high school. He was going to a high school where they only wore, they had a very specific uniform that was specific colors and things that they could wear, and there could be no graphics on their shirts. But it was a college prep high school, so for the freshman class, for 2 days before school started, and the week before school, that you would drop them off, and they would take them and put them on a bus and take them to a college campus. And they would drop them back off to you the first night, and you'd do it again. It wasn't an overnight thing, but they would go to 2 different campuses on 2 different days. I almost needed to be resuscitated. Of course, I loved this. I thought this was just great, but he wasn't going with any support at all, with a whole bunch of kids he'd never met before. None of the kids had ever met before, because it was a very specific charter school, so they'd not gone to 6th grade together, or 7th grade, because this was 9th grade. And but I was panicked. I was literally panicked about how was this going to go, and was it going to be a successful day, and was he going to make friends in high school? And I heard Dr. Lageson talk about the billboards, and I was like, okay, we have an opportunity. We have two T-shirts, because they were not going to wear uniforms on these days. We have 2 T-shirts on these days that are an opportunity for him to have a billboard to start conversation. So my son and I spent the whole summer. I told him about this. We spent the whole summer looking for, I didn't know about Redbubble, because you can order anything there. But we spent the whole summer shopping for the 2 T-shirts that would have a character from a video game that you wouldn't know unless you loved that video game. You would have no idea who that was, because we didn't want to attract people who were just gamers, right? We wanted to attract gamers that liked a specific thing. Well, the first day I picked him up with just this piece of advice from 1 minute at one peers clinic thing, and it changed everything, you guys. I picked him up the first day, and he's on his phone. He's in the car. I was like, talk to me. How did today go? And he was like, hang on a second. There's a group chat going on with 10 of them. There were 10 of them that met and started talking, because they were talking about my son's T-shirt. They were like, dude, I love that game. And somebody else said, you love that game? I love that game. And now there were 10 guys that got to be friends on the bus. Now they're all sitting together on the bus, and they've started a text chain, and they're all texting each other, and they're going to play a game tonight online, so that by the time they got on the bus for the second day, he had a core group. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but when you have a core group, suddenly you're bully proof. Nobody's going to take on 10 people. They're just not going to do that. And they may say something, but they're not going to take on 10 people. I want you to know that for 4 years, this group of 10 guys, and people would come into the group and leave, but the 10 guys stayed solid. And I was just telling somebody the other night about this amazing moment at my son's high school graduation. Let's remember that this group of people, halfway through their junior year, they didn't get to see each other, and they didn't see each other again until they graduated. That was the day that they got to see each other again. They talked to each other every day. They played video games with each other every weekend. They stayed tight during that time because they were already tight. But on the day of my son's graduation, after they walked and everything, there was a courtyard, and we were all standing there taking pictures. And in the middle of the courtyard, there was only 100 kids in his high school class. So, 10 people out of 100, this is a large amount. They were all standing arm in arm, and everybody was taking pictures of them. And my son looked up over the crowd, and he saw his friend and said, "David, wait a minute, everybody. David's got to get in this picture. David, come on, man, you got to get in this picture." David came over, and he got in the picture, and they all were arm in arm again to take the picture. And our very first ever therapist was there with me and just started sobbing. And I said, "What's your problem?" And he said, "Look at him. Look at how the friends that he has, and look at how socially." And I tell you, that all came about because of 2 T-shirts that I learned about from Dr. Lageson from the Peers program. So I don't even know how good the whole program is, but I've seen lots of people go through it. And I know that she is amazing, and I know that they've done research on this, and I know that it's helped lots and lots of families. So the Peers program, so good, so good. If I especially think if your child, at any point that you do this, you're going to be setting your child up for success. But if your child is 11 and they haven't gone through this, I think 11 is the perfect time to say, I'm going to prioritize this. If you have a 5-year-old and things are going well and you have the bandwidth to do this, do it then. But sometimes you're busy with other early intervention at that point, and at 11, that's thinner. But definitely, if you have an older teen or adult who's struggling with social skills, the Peers program, it's my number 1 social skills. Okay, let's move on to number 2. So I've been giving this to everybody to the point where if I type parent into my search bar, this comes up. That's how often I refer people to this. So the law of the land is IDEA. Last week I did a show about IDEA, and we hope that IDEA survives everything right now. But right now the law says that IDEA is the law of the land, and that each state has to have at least 1 center for parent information and resources to support them in getting the full rights that are in IDEA and in their IEP. So if you will visit this website, you will see that there are many different resources there. It's parentcenterhub.org, parentcenterhub.org. There is a button that says Find Your Center. If you click on that button, you find your state, and every state has to have at least 1 of these centers, but some states have many. Like California has a lot. Then if it has a lot, you got to pare it down to see which one has my zip code. And then there's an email and a phone number. I will tell you that I got great results phoning. I know people that have emailed, and that to get the first appointment may take a week and a half, but let's remember this is free. Free. And it's filled with resources. Most of the centers have a calendar where you can look, and it has classes that you can take for free, where you can meet with somebody and they'll help you meet their needs. Now, if things get to a certain point, they will tell you that they feel that you need to hire an advocate or an attorney, but they will give you a list of people that they recommend in your area, which is not a bad thing. But it is a great way to educate yourself and have a resource center that is free. So I absolutely love it. So again, it's www.parentcenterhub.org. It is free to you, and you can ask all kinds of questions. I find that they're very informed, and again, free. Love that. For now, let's see what happens. Okay, moving on to number 3. Oh, Pinterest. I have a dear friend who is, Crafty McCrafterson, and then I got to be around her a month ago, And I don't know what it was we were talking about. I was like, well, let's go see what Pinterest has on for that. And she was like, what? And I said, no, you can't possibly be one of the last people on the face of the earth that doesn't know about Pinterest. And she didn't. And she went on Pinterest and she went, oh, now I know what I'm doing for the next 3 weeks. And she got totally distracted. And at a certain point, I can't remember what was like 10 minutes later, we were on to other subjects and talking about other things. And she said, oh, cannoli dip. They have cannoli dip recipes. Yeah, Pinterest has everything. And, you know, if you're interested in recipes, whether they're gluten-free or anything else, like Pinterest has it all for you. You want to know, like, what outfit is appropriate to wear to a wedding that, you know, is outdoors and starts at 11 o'clock, Pinterest will have suggestions for you. You want to know, I mean, I just can't even think what the top 10 movies are from 1984. Pinterest will have it for you, right? But guess what else they have? If you look at your child and there's something OT or speech or just anything that you want to teach your child, that you're sitting there and you're like, you know, I don't know, like, what is the best way to potty train, or what is the best way to teach my child how to button their shirt, or what's the best way to tie a shoelace, or what's the best way to teach sight words? Anything. Pop that in Pinterest and you will see, because a lot of that section is powered by people that either are teachers or OTs or SLPs, speech and language pathologists, and they put information. Now, sometimes it's not free. You have to be careful and watch, because there are teachers who will put things online about, here's this lesson, and they charge, it's very inexpensive. They might charge $1.99 for the full plan for the lesson, because that's how they're making money to be able to keep doing what they're doing. So it's very, very affordable, but amazing. Like, they'll have done all the work that needs to be done to be able to teach an entire classroom of kids about Charlotte's Web with the activity that relates it to social studies, with the activity that relates it to science, and an art and craft project having to do with Charlotte's Web. So they'll charge you like $1.99 for that, but if you are a former teacher, that would have taken me 3 weeks to put together, right? $1.99, not such a bad thing. But especially for OT things, if you're trying to teach your child, you know, gross motor skills, and you don't even know where to start, or how about crossing the midline? Oh my gosh, can I talk about crossing the midline and how good it is for our kids? Do you know that for our kids, there's this whole thing with your brain that if you put something in front of your child and they pick it up with the same hand, that's very typical of our kids. But if you put it over here and teach your child how to cross their body midline to pick it up, it helps them cognitively. They've done the research on it. Crossing the midline, so learning tennis and things like that, or just exercise, crossing the midline. So good. Okay, I see that we have somebody spamming us. Don't do that. Don't do that. That so supremely ticks me off. And as soon as we're done here, I'm going to make it so that you can't ever comment again on the show. So don't do that. And please, everyone, disregard the spam that is there. This is not your personal platform. Sorry, can't do that. Thank you. It's gone. All right. Don't spam the show. Don't do that. Okay, but I'm telling you, go and find lessons on Pinterest and create a board for yourself. It's, you know, I used to be one of those people that I love to sit and read a magazine, and if I was in a doctor's office and read a magazine and there was a recipe, we didn't have phones back then, and so some of us did that terrible thing where we would rip out the page for the recipe, and I kept notebooks with sheet protectors with recipes for things. And you know what made me stop doing that? Pinterest. Because it lets you, for free, set up a board and say, I'm going to name this board gross motor skills. And then you just go, and if you like something, you save it to your board, and then when you want a gross motor skill because it's raining outside and you're like, what are we going to do today? You just go into your Pinterest page and say, oh, okay, guess what we're going to do now? We're going to rearrange the furniture because that's a gross motor skill. Pushing and pulling. Good for your kids. Right? And if you go onto Pinterest and you look for Autism Live, you will see that we have boards on there. I haven't spent as much time on it lately, but at a certain time during the pandemic, I made sure that there was robust stuff there so that if you don't want to go through all of Pinterest and you just want to see what we recommend, just go to the Autism Live pages and look at the things that we have recommended. So that's Pinterest, and it's free. We love Pinterest, and I'm telling you, bright minds are on Pinterest, giving you tons of resources for whatever you need. All right, on to number 4, TACA. I love TACA. I talk about TACA all the time. TACA stands for the Autism Community in Action. It's probably, I don't think probably, I think it is the largest parent group in the autism community worldwide. Started by one mom, Lisa Ackerman. And TACA does so much. I really encourage you to go to their website, tacanow.org, and click on all the buttons and chase all the little tabs down so that you can see them. But by far, if you want biomedical information that is parent friendly, that you want to know, like, what else are families doing and that might be helpful, and you write in and you say, my child has dark circles under their eyes. What might that mean and what might help that? They will have tons of information for you, whatever it is. My child has a nail fungus. What is that and how could that be impacting autism? Believe me, they'll have information for you. And it's geared towards parents. It's not going to be this, really in-depth, you have to have a medical license to be able to understand it. They also have TACA mentors. And TACA mentors are parents who have been there, done that, and then taken classwork to be able to support another parent on their journey. I believe, don't quote me, but I believe that you can still get a TACA mentor for 90 days totally for free to support you in your journey. This is somebody you can ask questions of. Now, they're not medical doctors, but so often we're going to talk about some of the medical doctors in a minute, they're expensive. And if you want to ask them a question, it's expensive. So having another parent that you can reach out to, that you can talk to and ask questions for free, oh, for corn's sake, Ethel, it's the best thing ever. But you'll find so much that's good at TACA, so go visit them, tacanow.org, to find out about how you can get your child as healthy as possible so that they'll be able to do all the things that they're learning how to do. I think that that's a wonderful thing. Okay, number 5, COPA. So I mentioned before that you may need to get an advocate or an attorney at some point on this journey. That's very likely and probable. I think most parents would agree with that. And then what do? You start calling people. It's not like we have yellow pages anymore. You start Googling who's good at this. You ask your local resources who's good at this, right? Or maybe you're like, I don't know, and you just start Googling attorneys in your area, and then it's a crapshoot. You call them up and, it would be like saying, I want a divorce attorney, but just asking for all lawyers, right? And they don't all cover divorces. Well, very few people cover educational law and special education law, right? Here's what's great about COPAA. It's the Council of Parent Attorneys and Advocates, which means they all have already been through this on some level. It may not be autism, right? But they've been through this on some level. We find that while I can never carte blanche endorse all of the attorneys on COPAA, because I don't know them all, but what I find is that parents have really good luck when they start here. COPAA.org, then you put in your zip code, it'll tell you the lawyers that are closest. Then you only call those lawyers and say, here's my issue, is this something that you have already dealt with? Can you help me with this? And that you will likely find somebody who's empathetic and talented in this arena and gets it. Because you need somebody who gets it, right? Who understands that this isn't just about first grade. This is about your child's life and being accepted and learning. So COPAA.org. Okay. Here they also have amazing conferences and that parents are welcome at them as well. I've never been to one, but Bonnie Yates always calls me from the COPAA conference and says, this is an amazing conference, you should be here. So I don't know, maybe, I think the next one is in the spring, and I think it's here in California. Maybe I'll get there. All right, let's go on to number 6. This is the med maps. This is when you have medical issues and you want to go to a doctor who knows more about autism than your pediatrician knows, right? MedMaps is the Medical Academy of Pediatrics and Special Needs. That's what it stands for, MedMaps. And it's medmaps.org to visit them. So a long time ago, there used to be an organization that was called DAN. This was a long time ago, you guys, and DAN stood for Defeat Autism Now. Then, the public consensus was, let's not make it, because there are people who identify as autism, and they felt that it was about coming after them. It wasn't, but sometimes our best intentions of not hurting people still hurts people. So what happened is Dan disbanded, and at that time, things had gotten so big. It wasn't that things weren't working out. Things had gotten so big in Dan that it made sense for them to have a medical division, and then it made sense for them to have a research division. So the medical part of Dan became MedMaps. And it's an incredible group of people. What I enjoy doing, go to their website and, again, search for a provider and go by zip code. But now, since COVID, you don't really have to go by zip code. You don't have to go to somebody close. You can do telehealth with most of these doctors, which we never used to be able to do before a pandemic. But I will tell you, you've got to use caution, because every MedMap doctor is not the same. And each and every MedMap doctor came to MedMaps with a different background. So you will find that there are osteopaths. You will find that there are chiropractors. There are neurologists. There's one who is a sports medicine doctor, right? They have all different credentials, and they have different areas of focus. So they cannot be equated as being equal or even. In order to be in MedMaps, it means they've got to attend conferences and be listening to what the research is and learning. But they are vastly different, and some of them have very specific protocols that are their protocol, and that is what they will want you to do. And if that's not something that interests you, you should go to a different MedMaps doctor. Now, I had a Dan doctor way back when. My Dan doctor was old enough that he did not choose to become a MedMaps doctor. But I tell you, if I had it to do over again, I'd go to David Berger every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Dr. David Berger is located in Florida, and he is a naturopath. And I love him, but that's me. You got to find somebody who's right for you. So I encourage you to, the TACA people tend to know all of the MedMaps people and can make recommendations based on what you're looking for. Often MedMaps doctors will attend the TACA conference, and there's an opportunity to talk to some of them. But you could just call people and say, talk to me a little bit about what's your background, what's your philosophy, but they're expensive, and usually your insurance doesn't pay for them. So I would encourage you to do research before you're talking to them, but talk to them before you spend great amounts of money. There are some MedMaps doctors who will say, there's this amount of testing that has to get done, or I can't work with you. And it, you got to have a certain amount of money put aside. There are other ones who are I'm only going to order this amount of testing because that's what your child needs. So MedMaps, what a great way to supercharge what you're doing, because it's making your child the healthiest they can possibly be. And that's critical. That's absolutely critical. And anybody who tells you it isn't, what's their rationale? I can learn so much more if I am healthy than if I'm not, right? That's the basic premise of MedMaps. So I encourage you, check out their website, but be prepared. A lot of them, what they do is not covered by insurance, and it's expensive. We did a fundraiser to be able to pay for the stuff that we did, and thank heavens that we did. Okay, let's move on to number 7. So the other part of Dan that split off became the Autism Research Institute, ARI. I have so much respect for this group of people and what they do. So amazing. I encourage you to visit their website, www.autism.org. They are asking a lot of the tough questions and coming up with answers. So we look forward to all the answers that they have. But if you are at all research interested or driven, I encourage you to go to www.autism.org. Okay, number 8, diet and nutrition. Now, we've had Julie Matthews on. We had her on earlier this year. She's amazing. Her page is Nourishing Hope. Her book is Nourishing Hope. Her website is Nourishing Hope, www.nourishinghope.com. But it's really, the whole thing is Julie Matthews. She does a lot of different things. She does research and publishes, but she also does webinars where she will talk about diet and nutrition. There's so much to learn. And then she does more individualized training that, is more coaching to help you through things. But she's got a book, Nourishing Hope, What the Woman Knows About Nutrition. And, you may feel like, I feel like I know it all. And I certainly know that I don't know it all. But I feel like I know a little. And then I'll talk to Julie for a half an hour, and she'll just say something in passing that I'm like, what? And she's like, oh, well, The one I remember, the first webinar that I ever went to of hers, and she was talking about something, answering somebody's question, and she's like, well, for instance, we know, when you're soaking your grains overnight. I went, soaking your what? She's like, oh, and somebody else said something on the webinar. They're like, what did you just say about soaking grains? She's like, when you're going to cook rice the next day and you soak it overnight. And I was like, have I just been dropped on another planet? Like, does everybody else know this? And nobody in the webinar knew. They were like, soaking our what? And of course, now we have overnight oats now, where people soak their oats overnight. I'd never heard of that before. I didn't know that I was supposed to soak my rice overnight before cooking it, like the beans. The beans I knew, but the rice, I did not know this. Anyway, she has all this information that is like, front line and center for her, but if she didn't share it, I don't know that I would ever know any of it. So great website, great book, great coach. Visit Nourishing Hope if you have questions about diet and nutrition. All right, number 9. The Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. Every state has some version of this and what it's called. And it's so funny because I went to the Autism and Entertainment conference earlier this year, and somebody came up to me and said, well, it's just everybody goes to the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. I was like, yeah, no, we haven't done that. And she went, what? What? And I said, yeah, no, that's, like somebody had told me about it, but I don't think I bothered to learn about it, it's just one of those things, right? I really want to encourage everyone to sign your child up for an appointment. You're, in their teen years, and each state it's different, like what age they'll allow, but your child needs a job, and your child needs an internship, and rather going it alone, I don't know how many times we've done shows about how to set your child up for this. Apparently there was an organization who would do it for us all the time, and I've heard nothing but amazing things. So Department of Rehabilitation or Vocational Rehabilitation, and sometimes there's funding. Oh, for corn's sake, Ethel. Go and get your child an appointment. If you have a teen or a young adult, even an older adult, get yourselves to this resource where they can actually help you and want to help you. Okay, number 10, 211. So this is a great resource. In almost every state, in almost every city, there is 211. Pick up your phone. When we're done here, call 211 and see what happens. It's almost always run and funded by the United Way. Remember the United Way? We used to have the thing where we could give a part of our paycheck to the United Way. And I remember, that there were a lot of things that the United Way helped with. I didn't know that in recent years, this is what they did. Now, I love this because you can be anybody, anywhere, and you can call 211 and there's somebody who will answer the phone. I believe 24/7. and they will say, how can I help you? Now, it is critical that we remember that these very highly trained people are mandated court reporters, which means if you say anything that leads them to believe that your child might be in danger or being injured, they have a legal responsibility to report it. So if you say something to them about, I mean, heaven forbid, I just know for me, I speak in hyperbole. That if I say something like, I'm so upset that I want to light my hair on fire and I want to run into the street screaming with a hatchet, right? That's me being hilarious. I don't mean that. I have never lit my hair on fire, nor have I ever run into the street screaming, and I don't own a hatchet. And if I did own a hatchet, I wouldn't take it out in the street, right? Like, I'm a reasonable person. This is behavior I would never do. But if I say that on this call, they're going to be like, what? They take you very literally. So this is not the place to exaggerate or speak in hyperbole, right? But it is the place to call and say, I have a child who's 4 years old on the autism spectrum, and I'm looking for information about the Medicaid waivers in my state. What happens when I say that is that person on the other line now works for me, and their job is to go find me waivers in the state. And they have these, I can only imagine, I always think of it as this big, huge book that they're going through these pages. It's the internet, and they have resources on the internet, but they know where to look for things and can supercharge that for you. I really encourage you to find out what your state resources are and lean into them. If it means a 2-year waiting list, well, what else do you have to do? Get on the 2-year waiting list. It might make all the difference, right? 211, it can be a really good thing, but don't call and exaggerate, because the police will be at your door and you'll be mad at me. If you need the police at your door, you can also call them, but it's better to call 911, right? If you need the police at your door. Okay, and then number 11, I have to tout our horn here, because we're trying to bring you all of these things and much, much more. But I'm very fond of saying that I gave up mind reading to host this show. And what that means is sometimes I'm trying very hard to guess what you guys need, but I can't know. I can't possibly know. I'm just one person, and I've had an experience on this journey that was very much my experience. I'd love to know what experience you're having and where you need support and help, because people ask me this all the time. How can we support parents? How can we, fill in the blank? They want to know what you need, because they're trying, for a lot of people, they're trying very hard to make sure that you have the resources that you need. Speaking of which, I want to see, no, it's not in this email, which is unfortunate. There is a new program. I'm going to say this. This is how we can do this. There is a new program that's called KIRA, K-I-R-A. And they are all about supporting families. And it's important to them that you get good resources in real time, and that somebody, let's just take some scenarios here. Somebody who has a 3-year-old, the 3-year-old's been diagnosed, and they're on a waiting list for a year waiting to start ABA services. What about somebody who has a 5-year-old and lives in a place where they're too far to get services, and the 5-year-old's having behavioral issues? Here's somebody else who has a 7-year-old, and they're like, I really, I'm not interested in doing ABA, don't want to go to a center, don't want to have anybody in the house. What I just like is some behavioral support, right? Kira's whole proposition is we want to be able to help a parent right now, today, wherever they are, and help them to get to better days. So they're in a beta phase right now where they're looking for families to participate in the program. The requirement is that you have to be willing to give an hour, I think it's an hour a week. There are online trainings in different topics that are specially picked for the parent based on what is going on with the child. So it's tailored just towards you, videos for you to watch. And then I believe it's that a half an hour a week that you are meeting with an autism expert online to individualize it, but then they assign you video modules to watch and then come back and meet with you to say, did you try this? Can you try this? We'll tweak this, right? So it's individualized, but training online. So in the beta phase, I believe it's free to people who want to try it. So I'm putting it out there. I don't have the website where you can, but if you write to me, I will get you put in touch with the people who are doing the beta phase. So my email again is shannon@autism-live.com. And you can write to me. And as I said, I will forward that to the people at Kira who are looking for parents to participate in a beta phase of giving support to families in real time. So shannon@autism-live.com, and just write to me, probably put it in the subject line, put Kira, Kira, and I will get you connected. Now, the other resource that I mentioned when we went through it quickly, and we've got just a minute here to talk about this, is EBSA. EBSA, that is the Employee Benefits Security Administration. Excuse me. They are a federal watchdog organization designed to be a resource for people who are getting their health benefits from their employer. So let's say you work for company A and you have a health benefit through their company plan, and you're having problems. Like maybe you signed up for it and they said, you're going to have to pick a doctor, but you've called all the doctors in your area and nobody is taking new patients. That would qualify as an issue, right? Or you got the doctor, but now you can never get in to see the doctor. Or you got in to see the doctor and the doctor said you need a specialist, but the appointment for the specialist is 2 years in the future. Those are all real problems that should not be. That's illegal, all of that, right? For any of those, you could call EBSA. But how about this, that your child is getting treatment and for autism, but you can't get a straight answer about what the copay is. Is it sometimes for ABA, I'm so sorry, I'm having a tickle. Sometimes for ABA, there's a situation where you pay a copay for the day because you're going to see multiple behavior technicians throughout the day, so you're paying the copay for the day. Other funders, it's that you're paying per person. So you had a BT for 2 hours this morning and you're having a BT for 3 hours this afternoon. You got charged copay twice. We're seeing a lot of parents that reach out to their insurance company and say, which one is it going to be? I need to know so I can budget for 2025, and they get the runaround. If you are not getting clear answers from your insurance company, that doesn't work either. For any of these reasons, plus a million more, anytime you're having a problem, call EBSA. And so you can Google it, EBSA, the Employee Benefits Security Administration. They have a toll-free number. And you can call them, tell them what's going on, and then they work for you. For free. For free. And they will start calling your insurance company, and they will get to the bottom of it. The thing that I love the most is that it's a definitive place for you to go. Now, unfortunately, it's only if you have your insurance through your employer. That's the rub. But if it is, call them. And they work for you because they're a federally funded watchdog group. And what I heard from them earlier this year, we had one of the representatives from EBSA on the program, and she was very frank with us and said, we are seeing that a lot of the things that are happening around autism are illegal in these insurance plans. So there's things written into the insurance plan just blatantly illegal. And parents are being charged more or not getting a benefit or being, told that they have to wait a year to start services. No, ma'am. You're paying a premium. They need to start services within a much shorter period of time. So they want to hear from you because their favorite thing is that when they call and see and find in the plan where it's illegal, they have the power to enforce them to change that. And not only in your plan, but it changes for all of the people in the plan. So if you want to make a difference in the world and you are having problems with your employee-funded plan, then call EBSA and they will chase it down. You don't have to lose the sleep over it. I always say there are better minds working on things, right? They understand insurance. They know where to look to find the bodies. And then they will force them to change it. And by the way, if you're owed anything because they overcharged you, you will get a check. And you will have changed the world for everyone else so that nobody else has to deal with this hoo-ha that they put in this plan. Does it get better than that? I just don't know if it does, folks. If somebody had told me 20 years ago that someday I was going to get excited about a watchdog group who was going to prevent illegal things from happening in insurance plans that have to do with autism, I would have assured you that you were talking to the wrong person. But I got to tell you, it makes me so happy on a daily basis. So, EBSA, I hope that there is something in these 12, 13 resources that I gave you today that is useful to you today. But it's very likely that they aren't all, because we all have different needs at different times. I encourage you to, bookmark this so that you can come back to it years from now when you're like, okay, now I need that vocational thing. Now I need to remember what that was. What did Shannon say about that? Oh, yeah. Now is when I need that. So probably not all of them right now, but maybe later on in life. Oh my goodness, you guys. It's been such a thrill to be here with you. I wish I was going to get to be here tomorrow, but I got to go to jury duty and do my civic duty, right? We all have to do our part. So I'm going to try to be positive about that. Hopefully I'm not going to get put on a long trial, and hopefully I'm going to be back here with you guys on Monday. Let's all keep a good thought about that. But remember that my thoughts are with you. Your kids are important. You're important. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We just got to keep working the problems. That's all. Working the problems, working the challenges, showing up, doing the best we can on any given day. Hopefully I've given you some resources to be able to do that. Normally I have housekeeping at this. Oh, I do have housekeeping. Guess what went live over the weekend? Guess what went live? The Autism Live 2024 Toy and Gift Guide is live right now. If you go to autismnetwork.com, it's there. You can click on it. Let's remember that there are 6 different age groups, and then within each age group, there are 18 specific awards. So somebody do the math on that. How many toys is that? A lot. And they're just so amazing. We also, for many of the toys that you'll see in the toy guide, we made videos about what we love about those toys. And you can see those directly on the toy page. You can click video. We're trying to put in videos for ones we didn't make, but if it doesn't click, that's because we didn't make a video for it. But click the ones that there is a video, and you will see me waxing poetic about that particular toy and why I love it so much. We also have an Amazon storefront for many of the toys in the guide. If they're available on Amazon, there's a place in Autism Live's Amazon storefront where you can purchase it there, and then we get something for that. We get an affiliate points or something. It helps keep the lights on here. So if you like the toy, you like what we said about it, you want to buy the toy, buy it from there, and it helps everybody. It helps the toy maker, it helps us, and hopefully it helps you. But there are some amazing toys and gifts, and we're going to be doing some shows showing them in real time soon, but we hope that you guys love what's there. There's some surprises this year of some things that I'm like, woo, kind of like that. That's why it won an award. So check that out, the Autism Live Toy and Gift Guide, live now. Hi, Rodney. So thrilled that you're here. So we'll see you. We're going to play oldie but goodies tomorrow and Wednesday, but hopefully I'll be back live with you on Monday. Hopefully I get through jury duty. Hopefully it's fast. All right, you guys, take care. I'm sending you all hugs. Bye-bye for now. Give your kiddos a hug from me, too. Bye-bye. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.